I'm good. You can start.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us, and welcome to the fourth and final workshop of this series, Keys to Successful Entrepreneurship. My name is Isaac Scott. I am the founder and the executive director of the Confined Arts, and I am joined today with two wonderful, amazing colleagues, but I'll allow them the opportunity to introduce themselves. Yes, we can go into our community agreements and get started if you guys are ready. So just getting started with our community agreements. Would you like to do that, Crystal? I think you're muted again.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Crystal. Just wanted to give you our community agreements. I'm so glad that you're all here to join us. So if it's your first time joining us for one of these workshops, even though it is the last one, here are just some set of rules. Be engaged and ask and answer questions. We're here to learn from your experiences too. Come as you are. It's okay not to be people ready. Please remain muted with your camera off, and feel free to ask questions in the chat. If you're unsure how to use the chat, let us know and we'll walk you through it. We'll answer your questions during the Q&A. And use the word hold in the chat if something is unclear or further explanation is needed. If you need a break, pause, step back, and take a step away. The session is being recorded and you can review it at a later date.
Hola, beautiful ones. Rescue Poetics here. It is an honor and pleasure to be among you, sharing these beautiful concepts through the Confined Arts. Introduce yourself. Put your information in the chat, whether you're live, you're doing the live chat, or whether you're in the Zoom. let us know what you want us to call you, how you would like to be addressed. That's always very important. Let us know where you're tuning in from. It's always good to know where we're getting our audience from, right? And let us know what your favorite color is. I don't know about you, but every day it changes for me. So today could be something different for you, right? Also, let's talk about your business. Do you have one already? Are you looking to develop one? Put your website in the chat. Share your website with us so that we can connect with you and build that relationship with you. Also, where do you see your business in 5 years? Do you see it developing it into an international brand? Do you see it developing into something that you've always dreamed about? So those are the things we want to get to know about you. So please feel free to share those.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And right now, I'll take the moment to give our digital land acknowledgement. I really appreciate this part of every workshop and starting it, because it does resurface us and bring us back to, understanding, the struggles that each of us face, and just understanding that everyone's not in the same playing field. And I think in this land acknowledgement, it does allow us the opportunity to come together. And also with this acknowledgement, I'm hoping that we can find ways to, be more responsible as we work towards decolonization. But without my preface, since our activities are shared digitally to the internet, let's take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within the technology structures and the ways of thinking we use every day. We are using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many indigenous countries and communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect indigenous people worldwide. I invite you to join us in acknowledging all of this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time, and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship.
Crystal, you're muted if you're speaking.
It's a little bit of a technical difficulty. Sorry about that. So hello, everybody. My name is Crystal Letters, and thank you for reading the land acknowledgement, Isaac. I am a multidisciplinary mixed media artist. I am a painter, poet, freelance writer, editor, and social media marketer. I was born and raised in Jersey City, and I am the author and founder of Crystal Letters and the co-founder and co-producer of Open Road Poetry with my fabulous partner here, Rescue Poetics. My art and my writing projects, Crystal Letters and Open Road Poetry, have collaborated with nonprofit organizations and artists across the tri-state area. And I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Isaac and Rescue to help pull this together. And this is going to be a really amazing workshop. So I'm grateful to be here.
So the Strategic Arts and Education Initiative was launched by a generous grant from the Ford Foundation. The mission of the Strategic Arts and Education Initiative is to provide free artistic literacy, professional development, and capacity building trainings and workshops to new and existing community-based artists, specifically those that have justice involvement, our young adults, students, advocates, teaching artists, practitioners, legal advocates, and organizations who want to learn more about entrepreneurship, community enhancement, and or how they can use the arts to mitigate the imprint of the criminal legal system. My name is Isaac Scott. I am a multidisciplinary visual artist and the CEO of Isaac's Quarterly. Isaac's Quarterly is a production, design, and consulting company. We also have a community arts program, the Confined Arts, which is housed right now at Another Choice Youth and Family Outreach in East Harlem. I'll also take the moment to give an acknowledgement to one of the co-founders of this workshop, Edwin Santana. He's also a justice-involved gentleman, freedom fighter, videographer, and he is the CEO of Tough Art Media. And so we just wanted to acknowledge Edwin He's not here with us today, but wanted to acknowledge him.
Thank you. Thank you. That's absolutely beautiful. It's incredible how how these relationships develop and how things just keep growing and building and strengthening. So I'm Rescue Poetics. I'm a multidisciplinary artist as well. I founded Rescue Poetics as a business in 2006 and have learned a lot in the years up since then and up until now, and I'm learning every single day. I love building the relationships with Crystal, with Isaac, with everyone that I can connect with. And that's what we're here for. We're here to learn how we can utilize our skills and talent to build those relationships, to develop successful businesses.
And with that, we can thank you, Susan. Thank you for Crystal. Thank you, Crystal, for the introductions. We can segue right into our recap of parts 1 and 3. What we have been doing, and I really appreciate this with Crystal. Every workshop we've done, we've recapped the workshop before. And we did that because we didn't want to assume that folks were on every workshop, and we wanted to make sure that you got a little bit of every workshop, even in this one, so you can kind of get the build up. Also, we encourage everyone to go to the site and watch every workshop because each one of them are very thorough. And post this workshop, we will be sending out all of the slides and the information for the workshops. But with that being said, let's go into our workshops, our recap for the keys to successful entrepreneurship, parts 1 through 3.
The art of marketing is the art of brand building. If you're not a brand, you are a commodity. Then price is everything, and the low-cost producer is the only winner. From Philip Coulter.
So in review of this, here's the snapshot, the series in a snapshot, right? Would help if I could speak properly. So the first workshop covered identifying your niche. What does that mean? What does that entail? What is a niche? So then the second one covered business structure and business management, because as an entrepreneur, you are an independent business. You may be an artist. You are also a business and an entrepreneur. So there's that distinction right there. And then the third one discussed marketing and advertising, because in this day and age, if you're not marketing yourself, if you're not putting yourself out there, no one is going to know who you are. How do people find you? How do people discover what you're doing and what you can offer in a community-based situation to develop your business and keep going?
So with that, part 1, identifying your niche. What is the purpose of your business? What is your brand? What is your mission? These are some questions that we explored in that workshop. Do you have a brand kit, a logo? Do you have a business account? Who is your audience? What need is your product or service fulfilling? What language is associated with the industry of your product or service? This is very, very important. Do you or can you obtain a license or a certificate for the work that you plan to do?
Know your skills versus your talent. What is a skill? A skill is an expertise that can be acquired by doing things over time, like learning how to play a guitar or speaking multiple languages fluently. It's not something you're born with, but rather something learned through practice. What is a talent? Talent refers to an inborn special ability that someone has. It is the essence of what you love to do and what you do best.
Business structure. You have, I think we covered about 4 different business structures, and the main ones that we see today. The first one is a sole proprietorship, which is also known as a sole tradership, individual entrepreneurship, or proprietorship. Is a type of enterprise owned and run by one person, and in which there is no legal distinction between the owner and the business entity. A sole proprietor does not necessarily work alone and may employ others. And to be clear on that, how it's always been explained to me, if someone sues your business and you are a sole proprietorship, then you personally are liable. That is the difference in the sole proprietorship from the next category. A single member LLC is a way you can get your business that provides you with more limited liability protection, as I just mentioned. So in this case, if a lawsuit was to be filed against your company, your company would only be liable and not your own personal finances and your accounts. So a single member limited liability company is with one owner. The word single member recognizes that the LLC has one owner and also known as a member. And again, similar to a sole proprietorship, this does not mean that you work alone. It just means that you own alone.
Self-employed or independent contractor. What is being self-employed or being an independent contractor? A self-employed person does not work for a specific employer who pays them a consistent salary or wage. Self-employed individuals or independent contractors earn income by contracting with a trade or a business directly. Self-employed individuals will use their personal social security number when filling out contract information. And in most cases, the payer will not withhold taxes. So this becomes the responsibility of the self-employed individual. Self-employed individuals may be involved in a variety of occupations, but are generally highly skilled at a particular kind of work. And these could be writers, tradespeople, freelancers, traders, investors, lawyers, salespeople, and insurance agents. All of these may be self-employed.
501(c) nonprofit. This is a very popular one. A lot of folks come home from incarceration and are looking to get into charitable work, and they jump right into this field. And I think one of the things we've been able to do is provide a bit more clarity in whether this is the best business structure for you. But a 501(c)(3) nonprofit is a portion of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code in a specific tax category for nonprofit organizations. Organizations that meet Section 501(c)(3) requirements are exempt from federal income tax, so they do not pay federal income tax. Those who qualify for this status can say that donations are tax deductible. So if people give to your organization, they are able to claim that later on their taxes, and they will receive that money back. So donations are tax deductible to a 501(c)(3). Charitable organizations, churches and religious organizations, and private foundations usually make up this sector of the 501(c)(3) base.
So where do you see your business fitting in? As an entrepreneur, as an independent contractor, do you know or have you explored the differences or the advantages of having a 501(c)(3)? Or have you considered an LLC? What does that mean for your business? What type of business do you have that would need you to be a 501(c)(3) or would grant you additional funding? So these are the things we're going to explore today. Which is the best way to maintain that sustainability and consistency in order to grow your business?
Thank you for that, Susan. And one more thing I just wanted to add to that is I would encourage folks before you go right into the 501(c)(3), before you go down that route, to see if the entirety of what you want to do is actually charitable. Because if it's not fully charitable, then perhaps it may be better to set up an LLC so that you can make money, but then have a fiscally sponsored program or project under that company that can then receive those tax deductible donations. And this is something we covered in our last session, so I won't go too deep in it, but you don't have to go all into a 501(c)(3) if all of your work won't be charitable.
So next, as part of the recap, we're going to go and talk about business management. Here are the type of revenue streams that if you're a new entrepreneur or if you're a company that's already been around, we have something that is called passive income. So passive income is a type of unearned income that is acquired automatically with manual labor to earn or maintain. It's often combined with another source of income, such as a regular employment or a job or a side job. Passive income as an acquired income is taxable. So that's one of the most important things we need to know about passive income. So we have the three types of recurring revenue, non-recurring revenue, and extra revenue. When you have recurring revenue, you get revenue from new and old users that you might build up over the course of time of your business. For non-recurring revenue, we have revenue that is earned from providing products to new clients. So if that's a new client that you recently acquired for your company and you decide to send them a new t-shirt, or you send them a couple pens, notebooks with your information on it that they've purchased, this is something that you can get from your new clients. And extra revenue, this will be from passive income. So this is merchandise that you can have on your website. If you have a shirt with your logo on it that you just want people to buy, they could go on there automatically through your website's processor and purchase it from there. If you're a publisher or a writer and you're selling books, or if you're selling any kind of product that you're making as an artist, that can count as passive income, because you don't necessarily have to be involved in the sale of that. Because the sale is going to happen automatically behind the scenes once you have it published on your website or any other source that you have it published on, such as Etsy or eBay, or even Facebook groups. And you can also consider extra revenue as any kind of donations that you're bringing in. So if you're a nonprofit and you rely on donations, this will count as taxable income for your business.
Thank you. And I just wanted to shout out Crystal Letters for multitasking. You're doing a great job doing the workshop and doing all of this tech stuff. So shout out to you on that. No pressure at all. This is great. Income and expense tracking. So we didn't want to get too, we didn't want to make these workshops too comprehensive. We wanted to make sure that they were, I don't want to, not too comprehensive, but too complicated. We wanted to make sure that we put forth software and information that was usable and that was standard and up to date today. So the two softwares that we put up here were first Intuit QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a lot more of an advanced software for income and expense tracking. It allows you to track receipts, purchases, expenses, payments, subcontractors. It's so comprehensive, but you may need to, have a little bit of the CPA in you to really manage it a lot. So it may be a little bit too much, right? But if you do have a background in finance, or you're good with numbers, or you don't mind going deep into the software, it is a very good software to use. And it is what is used now by many companies. I personally use Google Sheets because I like to make my own formulas. I like to make my own sheets. I like to just create my own database that I can work from. But eventually, as our company grows, I will have to hand that over as my CPA now is, hey, we got to transition this over to QuickBooks right now. So getting started using Google Sheets is good for expense tracking, and it doesn't have to be real crazy. Just write what you spend money on, and then write what income is coming back, do the math on that, and that's your budget right there. You're keeping track of it. It doesn't have to be an extensive budget. As you do more business, it will grow, and then the need for QuickBooks and other softwares like this will become necessary.
So contracts and agreements. As an independent artist, as an entrepreneur, it's important to maintain not only your structure in place, but it's also important to ensure that any relationship you're developing, you protect yourself, whether through that's a non-disclosure agreement, and that means not disclosing anything that's happening with a collaborative or a creative collaborator, confidentiality, making sure that all the information that you're sharing with someone is being maintained confidentially, that is not shared in the public domain or shared with other people. And then you want to talk about a non-compete agreement or non-compete clauses. So that means that you and I are in collaboration together, and then you turn around and you compete, you do it with someone else. That's competing. You're competing in the same arena with the same thing. So you want to ensure that you protect what you're developing. And then fiscal sponsorships. So Isaac mentioned that already. So a fiscal sponsorship, you have to decide if that's what fits in with certain charitable programs that you're doing, or certain charitable series that you're creating. And there are organizations out there that you can develop that relationship with, so you can see what that's going on. So a service agreement is very important. You want to be transparent with what you can provide, what the expectations are on your side as the provider of service or as the provider of materials, as well as the expectation of the receiver, the customer, the client. That also outlines anything, whether you're being paid, how long it lasts, what exactly is happening. So if someone says after they've signed a contract or a service agreement and say, well, I need you to do this, and if it's not in the agreement and you're being paid for your services, then that's an addendum to that. So you have to agree to what those terms are in addition to that. So the service agreement basically lists out the terms, how long the work is for, what the payment is, what the expectations are, and to be transparent and clear with those things. So, and then let's talk about what an annual report is. So an annual report is a summary of what you've done for the year. For example, your highlights, your financials, your profits, your loss, your impact that you've created within the community that you're working in, how many communities you've connected with, how many people you have engaged, whether as employees or as contractors, how many communities widely that you've impacted, and also the demographics of that. That helps to give anyone, if you're looking for financing or anything along that line, that helps to give a snapshot of your business within the last year. Because as great as we'd love to hear the entire story of every single thing that's going on, the snapshot creates that historical document where you're consistently creating your business, developing it, and growing it.
Right. Thank you for that, Chris, Susan. And another thing that we mentioned in the previous workshops on the point of the annual reports was also the reporting, because I mentioned the same things that you mentioned, and Crystal mentioned also the reports that we have to give the state for our companies. So I know in New York, it's like a banal report, and that report is just the state making sure that you are conducting the same business that you said you were going to conduct when you started your business. So every year, I don't know what it is in Jersey or in other states, but in New York, it's every 24 months you have to submit your banal report. And it is $9, and it really is like 2 or 3 questions. Are you still doing this? You know, are you still located the same place? Did anything change? You know, so there are, you know, the report that Susan said, which is my favorite report, because you get a chance to look back at all of the stuff you did throughout the year. And when it's December, you're like, wow, I did all of that the whole year. You know, so it's an amazing historical document, as she said, but also keeping in line with your state requirements. Make sure that there are no reports that you need to give for your particular business structure. Thanks, Crystal. We can go to the next one.
And I just wanted to piggyback off of the annual report, even though we did go over it in the last 2 workshops. So with the annual report for the state of New Jersey, if you are a contractor in Jersey, you could just look it up on the state government website. And I think most of the time it's like $25. You can fill it out yourself, because there are companies, like third-party companies, that they'll send it to you and they're like, oh, we'll complete your annual report for you for $150. So just know that this is one of those forms, just like the rest of these forms here, that you can create, you know, or you can find them on like state websites, and they're either of low cost, or you can just craft them yourself.
Yes, thank you for that, Crystal. I remember the first year I got charged like $75 to submit a form that only cost $9. So I knew after that not to do that anymore. So these are our business struggles, right? So some tax considerations that we should all think about. There are different tax categories, tax brackets, as we mentioned a little bit with respects to the different types of businesses. But generally, here's the general structure of the tax structure overview for different business structures. So for an LLC, they have pass-through taxes. More often, LLC members are taxed on their personal tax returns. So on your tax return, on your 1040, you will do like a Schedule C, and that's where they'll ask you about your self-employment, the income that you've made, but it will show up on your personal taxes. S Corp, pass-through taxes as well. Shareholders are taxed on their personal tax return. Let's go over to the nonprofit. Nonprofits can apply for tax exempt status, and donations are tax deductible. So all of the money that they receive in is tax deductible. Sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorships are taxed only on their owner's tax return, similar to an LLC. But again, the difference in that sole proprietorship and every other formation here is that you don't have any protection for your business, and everything that legally that your company is liable for, you are personally liable for. And you also have your formation fees. And for each one of these categories, your formation fees are tax deductible because it is a business expense. So just remember, everything you spend on your business to run your business is an expense for your business. Everything. If you took a train somewhere, if you sat down to get lunch before you had a meeting, or if you had a lunch meeting with someone, all of these different things can go towards your business fees. I wouldn't encourage you to just put everything on there, but there are a lot of things that should go on there that usually get left off. I would also encourage people, if you work from your home, look into the state laws for how much of your home space you can write off. Because if you use a certain amount of your living space to run your business, that is also something that you can deduct in your taxes and at the end of the year. So just keeping those things in mind. Yeah. I don't know if any other thoughts here, comments here. Got a lot of experts here with me. Feel good.
So when you so a little bit about that, make sure you can download a budget app. You can download the mileage app if you use your own car. You use your mobile device. If you have a tablet or a laptop that is simply dedicated to your business, those expenses, maintenance, keeping up with those things, software that you might purchase for running your business, your website, anyone that you may hire to help you do something, whether it's on a temporary basis or ongoing basis, keep those things in mind. Maintain your receipts. You can usually scan it with your phone and upload it to a folder and maintain them. You never know when you're going to need them. It also gives you a clear picture of what your budget is. What do you spend on a regular basis? And that's very important as you're growing your business to the next level and the next level. So keep those things in mind.
And that's true. So, if you're an independent business owner and you work out of your home and you're using the internet that you pay for every month, that's something that you can definitely apply as a tax deductible option when you're doing your taxes at the end of the year. So what I like to do, I have an Excel spreadsheet and I just kind of mark out all the expenses that I have. So that's including the lunches, I don't drive, so I use public transportation. That also counts. So if you're a person that you're consistently getting a bus card, that's what you can take off as your transportation fee. As you're going back and forth to go see a client, if you're doing a gig that it might be in a different city, if you're paying, for a flight to go to Chicago because you have a client out there, that's something that you can definitely apply as being tax deductible. So just really keep that in mind.
Right. Continue to educate yourself on your business, your work, and your audience. So with that, let's we're not there yet. This is part 3 now, gaining visibility, marketing and advertising. So in this workshop, this was our last workshop, in marketing and gaining visibility, We explored questions such as, have you done your market research? Do you have a website? Are you on at least one social media platform? Are you using a social media management tool? Do you have a Facebook business page? Do you know how to create a Facebook ad? Are you using Meta Business Suite? I know Crystal, this is a thing right here. What is public relations? Are you using public relation marketing tools? What is a press release? What is an infographic? Do you have a logo, brand colors, images, or gestures? What design tools are you using?
Yeah, so this part is my jam right here. So if you are a new business owner, entrepreneur, and your business relies off of social media, here's just some tips. You might want to take a screenshot, take a photograph of this. All of these sizes are going to help you out based on the platform that you're currently using. So if you work exclusively through Instagram, for your profile photo, you'll need a 320 by 320 pixel photo. For any landscape images that you're using, you'll need a 1080 by 566 pixel photo. And just keep in mind that the pixels are based on when you're doing graphic design in either Canva or Photoshop. That defines the clarity of the image that you're putting out. Because sometimes, we might take a picture on a whim and those might be blurry. So we just want to make sure that the dimensions are proper. So if you're doing a portrait image on Instagram, it's going to be 1800 by 1350 pixels. If you're doing the regular square, that's the standard for any Instagram images that you're putting out, that's a 1080 by 1080 pixel. For story images, that's 1080 by 1920. So if you are a graphic designer, all of these sizes will come in handy for you because especially with me and Isaac, and I know Rescue especially, we love using Canva. And you can pretty much just create like a template for these sizes and then just continue to just build off of the same size that you have, and you don't have to go back. You just keep continuing to create the same thing. So if you use Facebook, you'll need a 170 by 170 pixel profile photo. For landscape images, you'll use a 1200 by 630 pixel photo. For portrait images, you'll do 630 by 1200 pixels. For any square images, you'll use 1200 by 1200 pixels. For stories, you'll use the same size as Instagram, which means that they can be interchangeable. If you're using Meta Business Suite, you'll post a story onto both pages and they'll come out looking exactly the same, which is the 1080 by 1920 pixels. And the most important thing when you have an event coming up, if you want people to know about it, is to utilize your Facebook cover photo. And that'll be a 851 by 315 pixel photo. For those of us that still use Twitter, which is now referred to as X, profile photos are 400 by 400. Landscape are 1024 by 512. And then they don't have the other sizes because they haven't integrated those in yet. But they do have a cover photo, which you can change just alongside with your Facebook cover photo. But that'll have to be 1500 by 1500 pixels. If you are an entrepreneur that likes to do networking through using LinkedIn, you'll need a 400 by 400 pixel profile photo. For landscape size, you'll need 1200 by 627. For portrait size, it's just the reverse of the one above it. And they don't do square sizes, they don't do story sizes, so you'll have to make sure that these sizes are correct when you're using LinkedIn. And then for your cover photos, you could do 1128 by 191 pixels. And here's another tip for those of us who need a little help with public relations marketing. So if you have an event that's coming up and you need to come up with a flyer for your event, here are some common sizes that you can use. And these are like paper sizes that you can get from Staples, Office Depot. So the regular standard size is going to be the 8.5 by 11. If you're doing half that size, we'll go to the 5.5 by 8.5. And if you're doing more of a postcard size that you want to hand out, you could go to different companies and they'll actually have this option for you to print out. And that's a 4 by 6 inch image where you can do event flyers or just like a little blast out to let people know that your event is happening. And then we also have the larger sizes, which is the 11 by 17, and then the long narrow size, which is the 99 millimeter by 210 millimeter. So all of these sizes can come in handy, especially with number 5, the DL size. That size would be if you're creating like a very small infographic that you want to hand out. So if you ever go to maybe you're walking on the street, or you're going to a hospital, or you're in a place that has the small brochures, that would be the normal size that they'll print out. And because it's easy for you to either print it double-sided, or you can actually just create a full-size brochure, which all sides are going to be exactly the same. And then next we have, for some more public relation marketing tools, we have postcard sizes. So we have the standard 4x6, we have the medium 6x8, we have the jumbo 6x11, and then we have the extra large card, which a lot of different galleries will use this size when they have events that are coming up, or they have exhibitions, or even if you happen to go to a theater performance, they might have the extra large or the jumbo sizes for their brochures or for their postcards. So the extra large size is going to be the 12x15. So if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat right now. We'll use this little space to answer any questions that you have for the Q&A.
So actually, I do have a question. What is your take on QR codes versus putting a link on a printed material?
Okay. So honestly, I think it's twofold, because there may be people who don't exactly know how to use a QR code. So most of the time when I'm creating my flyers, I'll try to include both, because there's still some people that, they want to go on the website. So they might get confused with the QR code, but then there's more techie people like us, where we're like, okay, we see the QR code, we know that we're going to scan it and it's going to lead us straight to the event. So I feel like if you're going to work on a flyer, if you're making a postcard, or even a business card, having both the website link and the QR code will make it really beneficial. And it'll make people from both spectrums easier for them to reach you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've had the experience of not being able to scan certain codes on certain documents, and there wasn't a website also on it. So it made it a little more frustrating, because it was like, well, this QR code is not working, and I don't know another option that I can take to get to this location. So I would also, I would advocate for putting both on. Yeah.
Thank you. So I do have another question. What is your take on images versus text on postcards and flyers and things? How text heavy should an event flyer be? How much information should go? How much space should be left for people to digest what's happening?
I think when it comes to making just like the postcards and the flyers, you really want to just have, and we had a situation like this previously. You don't want to put too much information on your flyer to turn it into a paragraph or a story. You really just want to have the vital information on your postcard and your flyer. So that'll be the name of the event, the location, the date, the time, how people can buy tickets. What else can you have? If it's an event that's only meant for ages 16 and up, you want to make sure that that's put on there. You want to have your sponsors on it. So as long as you have if you're working on a press release, that's understandable to have a lot more information, because this is something that's going to be going out to the news outlets. This is something that's going to be, transported to different websites, calendar events and things like that. So you want to have as much information as possible for the people who are going to take the time to read that. But you got to think about people who are on the road. They're walking from one location to another. They're not going to have the time to look at all this information in the flyer. They just want to know where it is, when it's happening, what the name of the event is, who the host is, how much the event is going to cost for them to get there, and that's it. So I feel like just having the most vital information on your flyer, that will make it less text heavy, and you'll get more audience members to your event, because they won't be in this whole state of like, okay, how do I get to it? And another thing that I wanted to mention about the QR codes. QR codes can be a little difficult sometimes, because sometimes people may create flyers with a QR code and then they'll post it onto their social media, but they don't necessarily realize that a lot of people who are on social media are on their phones half the time. So they won't be able to scan the QR code when they're looking through their phone. So yeah, so that's just one of the other key things that's why when I'm doing a QR code, I make sure that I put the link on the flyer, because now you have both of those options. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind when you're making flyers. Just have the most concise, important information that you need.
Yeah. Can I add some to that? I think also I agree with everything Crystal said, and I won't repeat any of it. I think also some of the things that I've found to do is, like, sometimes we always want to have a picture on a flyer because we feel like it should have a picture, but sometimes you can design your text in a way to be big and bold, and that can be the thing that stands out on your poster. One of the things that the ways that what I think about when I design posters is I think about people scrolling on their phone and they seeing my poster. And if they see it, is there something on this that's going to get them to stop for at least 30 seconds? Because if I can get you to, not even 30, if I can get you to stop for about 5, you'll see everything else on there. So I think those are some things to consider as well. Like, what's on here that's going to grab people's eye. Also, this is a bigger thing that I think a lot of people miss, how you position your text on the paper. If you want, the most important information should be the boldest and the easiest to see, right? If the time and the date is important, it shouldn't be in the corner where I can't find it. That should be like right under the title. So if you want me to know in 2 seconds, outside party this date, then those should be the 2 things I see: the party big, and then right under it as a sub heading should be the date and the time. And then the rest of the information can be placed strategically because you've already let people know what's happening and when it's happening, right? And if they're interested, they'll go deeper into your poster. So I think really just thinking about how we capture people's eye as they are scrolling, because most of the materials we share are going to be viewed on social media, right? So we should be mindful that people are looking at millions of, billions of images and graphics. And how does ours stand out? What will get people to look at us, our visuals better? And it doesn't have to be a picture. It can be text. It can be different strategical things you use to just grab people's attention. So I hope that also helped too.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to drag this out. I know that Rescue, you mentioned about the image on the flyer. Just a suggestion that I have for people who they're putting images on their flyer, if they're not too savvy with graphic design. There is an option in Photoshop, and there's also an option in Canva. You can lighten the transparency of your image, so you can still have the image that you want, but you can make your text more visible. And then also, when it comes to color theory, you want to have the proper color that complements the image that you're putting on your flyer. But also keep in mind, this is something that I learned from Rescue. When you are picking a color for your text, keep in mind that there may be some of your audience members who are neurodivergent. So maybe there are different colors that they can't see. Maybe there are images that it might be a little too complicated for their eyes to comprehend. So just, when you're working on your flyers, if it's too bright, even for your own eyes to see, that might lead to a difficulty for somebody else seeing. And also, if you're working with different typographies, if you're working with different text and font, keep in mind that certain fonts, if they're too close together, or if the script is very close, it might be hard for people with neurodivergent issues to actually read that type of text. Because there's a tendency that it might look nice when you make the header for your banner, but when you put the rest of the information that you have on the flyer in that same text, that might end up being too hard to read, because now you're changing the size of the font that you have. So yeah.
I feel like we make posters for ourselves and not for the people who actually need to see them, right? So that's why it's like, oh, I like this. This is nice. And to the point, it's like nobody else can see this. It's like, yeah, you like it, but it's not really visible to other people. It's stressful in the eyes and all of that. So yes, great question, Susan. Thanks for the prompt, because we know you knew all of those answers already.
Thank you. So last question in this area. When you're talking about a press release, and let's say that I'm sending it out, who should I send a press release to?
So this depends on your audience. So if you are sending a press release out, I would like to say that it's best to have your audiences separated into groups. So you can have the audiences from your newsletter. If you have a newsletter, or even if you have like a collection of emails that you've built up over the years, that can count as your own personal audience that you can send out your press release to. But then also you have your news outlets or your bloggers that you may know in your area. So those would be another list of emails that you can collect and that you can send your newsletter out to. And then I guess the final list, this would be more on the location. And if you wanted to go a little deeper into like the analytics of it, this could be the demographics. So if you had a list of like if your events focus, or if your company focuses on like women empowerment, and you had a list of all the women that you know have come to your event over the course of the past 2 years. So this will be another way that you can just you can find your niche audience members to send the press release out to. So if you have an event that's focused on your theater, the people from your theater group, you want to have that press release sent to them, but also sent to the news outlets and sent to the people that you know are a part of your personal newsletter. And then at the same time, you know, if you have an art gallery event that's coming up, you may find some time to do a little separation, and you have all of the people who have attended all your arts events. So I guess like if you do have time with your audiences when it comes to sending out a press release, utilize using Excel spreadsheets or using Google Sheets to just categorize where you want a certain press release to go to, because you want to maximize the amount of people that are going to be able to see the event that you have that's going on.
Thank you. That's it for me for now.
Okay. Thanks for the questions, Rescue. Those were like I really had to think back about some of this stuff too, because I get so used to doing it that it just kind of becomes second nature, you know? And I wanted to give a shout out to Hi Yasmin. Thank you for being here, because I know you've been to a couple events, so I'm so happy to see that you're here again.
Yes, thank you.
So this goes into part 4, which is the reason we're here today. We're going to talk about business growth, what sustainability means for your business, and what is capacity building. So we're going to go right into that next. So let's talk a little bit about what it means, what building and utilizing social equity, strategic partnering, what is that? What does that entail? We all meet people every day. We all collect business cards. We get a variety of different ways to connect with people. So that is building and utilizing your social equity, whether it's online, whether it's in person, whether you're at a networking event. I like to call it relationship building event, right? So you're there to develop that. Have in mind what your goals are. My goal, especially if you're a shy person, right? As you can tell, I'm not shy, but if you're a shy person and you're not in the habit of talking to people when you're in public, make a goal for yourself. Meet one more person or 2 new people that connect with your business. Focus your attention on those things that will help you to advance or to learn more about your business and those who are involved in your business. Okay, think about who your allies are, who in this work that you're doing. In order to grow, you have to develop even greater expanse and experience, right? So who are those allies? What networking event? Who can I ask a mentor to be my mentor in a business? Who is in the habit of being a mentor? I'm not a graphic designer. So who is my ally that can do a graphic design for me? I go to Crystal, because Crystal is not only a visual artist, she is very savvy with all these different softwares. You put them in front of me and I get lost in like 10 seconds, okay? I can do a lot of things. Graphic design is not one of them. And I know that, and understanding that, I engage Crystal not only as my ally, but as a business person. I help to develop her business as well by hiring her and engaging her to do a variety of different things. And think about who supports your brand and what does that even mean? What does support look like for you? Does support mean that people are sharing your posts? does support mean people show up at your events? Does support mean that they spread the word? Does support mean that you have like a barter system with them? You help me, I help you. That's a barter system. Oh, money isn't always the goal. It's always a matter of just building and developing and strengthening things. So you can utilize those things for that. And let's talk about sustainability, fundraising and revenue. Fundraising is a dirty word in a lot of circles, but it's necessary. We don't like to talk about money. We don't like to talk about what it is that what we'd like to bring in. Define what that means for you. Define what it is that your time, your energy, your experience, and your expertise are, and don't shortchange yourself. Okay, because if someone goes to a business and they engage in a service, they have to pay for that service. So why is that different for an entrepreneur, an artist, or an independent contractor? Keep those things in mind. Get a real understanding of what it is that is expected so that you can provide a clear and sustainable model for you to earn money at what you're doing. Let's talk about grant writing tips. So here are some grant writing tips. Grant writing is you telling your story in order to develop it and strengthen it and get income into either increase what it is that you're doing, create a community that helps in what you're doing, or building that creative collaboration. And think about that. You want to know what your story is. If you're not a grant writer, if you're a person who can tell your story, but not in a way that is effective in order to engage that type of demographic, those type of people who do funding, then engage someone who is good at that. Engage someone who is consistently good at doing that to help your business. And then you want to talk about your revenue streams. You want to create those, whether they're passive, whether you're doing things on a regular basis. How do you prepare for that? You want to make sure that you have your proposals for your revenue streams. I don't know about you, but I do 6,000 different things on a regular basis. So I have a pocket of proposals already prepared, even though I haven't presented them yet. I have these proposals because sooner or later, someone is going to ask for this type of service. And also, in addition to that, connect with those in your network. If you cannot provide a service, then how can you then direct someone to someone else to provide that service and still maintain that connection? People love that relationship building where you're uplifting other people within your business, okay? Sponsorships, what does that mean? What does a sponsorship look like? There are so many different kinds of sponsorships. There's monetary sponsorships, there's in-kind sponsorships, and the list can go on and on. What is that? What type of sponsorships do you need? What type of sponsorships are you looking for in your business or your project? You may not need it for your business, but you may need it for a specific project. What does that look like for you? So these are just different things that we're going to talk about today. Crystal, if you're ready, you can switch to the next slide.
Building and utilizing social equity. What is business sustainability? Business sustainability is the process of incorporating green business practices into organizational operating models and throughout supply chains. You may use these techniques to improve your company's brand image, reduce costs, or support the environment. So let's jump into business networking on how to build your capacity. In businesses, networking is sharing the information or services between people, companies, or groups. It's also a way to find individuals to grow their relationships for their jobs and companies. And as a result, these connections or these networks can build and grow. And they're useful for individuals and professionals in their personal and their professional life. We have the online networks that we're all used to, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, and LinkedIn, amongst the other platforms that we have out here. So we'll use these types of online networks to network with your followers from social media. But then we also have your strong contact networks. So these are your close family, your friends, people who know about your business. They support your business. They support your business dreams. But then we also have our casual contact network. These might be casual coworkers, people that you know from work, people that you know just from conversation, but these could also be like-minded individuals, other entrepreneurs that you might have met along the way. And then we have strategic partnerships. So there are 5 types of strategic partnerships. The first being marketing partnerships, integration partnerships, supply and chain partnerships, technology partnerships, and financial partnerships.
So this part, this is one of the things I was really looking forward to building with everyone about, even at the conceptual phase of these workshops, because part of why I wanted to do this was I wanted to bring attention to how we could build social equity to be successful with our businesses. Because for me, we haven't always been funded, but we've always been able to utilize social equity to get the work done. So whether that has been through volunteer support, through collaborations, through strategic partnering, we've always been able to successfully complete projects. So I wanted to share some of the insight that I've gained over the years with you all. So building and utilizing social equity and strategic partnering. Some bullet points. You can incorporate social equity in partnerships, seek partners who align. And I know that Rescue and Chris, who said a lot of this already, but I'll just run through it for the sake of the recording. But incorporate social equity in partnerships, seek partners who align with and support your commitment to social equity. Consider diversity, equity, and inclusion criteria when selecting strategic partners. So that does go a long way. If all of your partners look the same, that may raise a question for people, especially if your line of work requires a level of diversity and different perspectives. If you are working, so for an example, if I get a client who is leading a women's program and all of my staff members are men, then we really don't sit in a good space to be as informative or helpful to completing that project or helping them succeed in that, because we are missing a bit of insight in that we don't share that identity. So being mindful of your partners, just how you diversify your collaborations and your network so that you can be helpful and you can be informed and you can be able to inform and be I want to say employable in a lot of different ways, where people can look at you and say, hey, I like what they're doing over there, and I trust them because they have a diverse perspective. They're not just stuck in one place. Community engagement. Build partnerships with community organizations to enhance social impact. That is key right there. That should just have like a big star on it. Engage in initiatives that contribute positively to local communities. Yes. Here's another thing. I was meeting with an organization a few weeks ago, and they're like, hey, Isaac, we think that we're doing too much, and we are just going to like stop doing programming for like the next 6 months so we can get our stuff together. And I was like, that's great. Now, if ever you're worried about not being, because sometimes we think if we're not doing the work, then we'll get left behind or we'll be forgotten, people won't remember that we exist. So I said, no, we have this coalition work that we're still moving forward with. You are part of the coalition. You don't necessarily have to do much of that leading, but you can take credit for the work being done because you are also a part of this coalition. So even while you guys are in your think tank phase and you are doing your strategic planning, you can still document the progress that's being made through this coalition because you're a part of the coalition and you are a contributor. So you have engaged in an initiative that contributes positively to local communities. And in that, you can keep that, your name is still good. So y'all good. Take the time you need and you don't have to feel pressured. So those are some ways, just being connected will help you to be able to continue your work, even when you personally may be in a phase where you need to just get things together or stuff is not all together. Shared values and missions. Prioritize partnerships with organizations that share similar values and missions. Yes, that's everything right there. Aligning with like-minded partners strengthens your collective impact. We like to say in the church, iron sharpens iron. So the more that you can get around people and partners that can strengthen you, it's amazing because you also bring a wealth of knowledge that you will be able to strengthen them with. So keeping that in mind. So moving to the next category of networking and strategic partnering, going back to some of the things that Rescue said, identifying allies. Evaluate potential allies who share common goals and values. Look for organizations and individuals that complement your strengths and weaknesses. She said that. Hires Crystal because Crystal is good at the tech stuff, right? So she can do what she has to do, and she has partnered with someone who can do what she is not comfortable doing. And she doesn't have to put herself in an uncomfortable situation to get the job done. So just like the question in the chat about when should we start looking for a CPA, as soon as you can afford one, because you don't want to use all of your energy trying to do something that may not be your strong suit. Find a partner, find an ally. Maybe you find someone who's in school studying finance who would be willing to take on your project pro bono because they need the experience anyway. So these are some ways that you can, garner this support that you may need. Brand support. Seek partners who can enhance and support your brand's image and values. Absolutely. Collaborate with organizations that resonate with your target audience. Yes, that will help you to be able to communicate to your audience better, because they can be like, hey, I know these people, man, they're not really going to resonate with that. But if you do such and such and such, that might be more successful. So that's a great thing. Collaborate with organizations that resonate with your target audience. That's why it's important to know your target audience. Sometimes, we go into work and we're just like, we cast a wide net. Who is this for? It's for everybody. It's not really for everybody. Everybody is everybody, but there has to be some target. Maybe it will have an impact on everyone, but you should be looking at a certain demographic of people or an identity or something that will help you to hone in on something. And then from there you go. Mutual benefit. Establish partnerships that offer mutual benefits and value. I heard the word bartering come up. When you have to be resourceful, do what you can do. You have to be resourceful. If you meet someone who is also an entrepreneur and they're doing something that you need for your org and you're doing something they need, then y'all should partner, because you guys could help each other. Advance both of your missions. Start doing some collaborative events together. Those things are good. I think we get caught up a lot in America. There's a lot of competition. This is a competitive country. So we think, I don't want to go there. I don't want to tell them about my plans. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And rightfully so, sometimes people do steal ideas. They do, these things do happen, but you do have to find a way to be able to create partnerships that will advance your organization. There is no company right now that is successful that does not have a wealth of partners who help them do the work. So just know that you have to trust somebody, right? Clearly define expectations and contributions for each partner for a symbolic relationship. Going back to the collaboration agreements, it's really helpful to form those, because it gives you a sense of understanding and expectations. Like, hey, we'll be providing this for you and you'll provide this for us. And even if you guys decide to change on the details of the collaboration agreement, at least something is there to give you all a sense of direction and a sense of expectation. So clearly define expectations and contributions for each partner for a symbolic relationship. I would say writing things out is better than verbal agreements, only because, sometimes people go back on what they say. But if it's in writing, it's like, hey, I'm going by what we said here. Now, if we want to change it, it's different. And it allows things to be more accountable if you keep them in writing. Industry connections. Network within your industry to identify potential strategic partners, right? In your industry. So this is why it's important to know your niche, know the work you want to do, so that you can learn more about the industry. Then you can go deeper into meeting people who are already engaged in that industry. And in doing so, you'll learn so much more about the industry, so much of the inner working, so much of the back end stuff that go on. And it'll also give you a better sense of direction and where you can have an impact with your company. And lastly, attend relevant events and conferences to broaden your networking. Networking and strategic partnering continued. I'll just read off the bullet points for the sake of time. Strategic alliance building, cross-sector collaboration. So maybe you're not so much collaborating just within your industry, but maybe you cross-sector, right? Explore partnerships beyond your immediate industry for innovative collaborations, right? Yes, and these collaborations can bring a diverse perspective and solutions. Leveraging social capital, right? This is like utilize social capital to strengthen your network. This is like your people. I got people who can do this. I got a team. I may not have a financial capital, but I got social capital. People mess with me. They like me. They trust me. I'm reliable. And if I ask for something, I can depend on them to get it done. That's social capital. Leverage that. Long-term relationship building. Long-term relationship building. Focus on building long-term relationships rather than short-term gains. So, maybe you just have a project you need to get done, but perhaps you can find a way where that project can also serve your partner in a more long-term way so that you guys can develop that across different projects. So maybe it's not just one project you guys collaborate on, but you've developed a sense of trust, independency on one another, where you guys have a long-term relationship now, right? With that, yes, we can go to the next slide.
So Isaac is going to dive into grant writing, and we're going to talk about, because that's part of what we do as independent artists. We depend on funding from a lot of different areas, and what that means and how we can utilize that tool for ourselves.
So grant writing is the practice of completing an application process for a financial grant provided by an institution such as a government department, corporation, foundation, or trust. Such application process are often referred to as the grant proposal or grant submission. And usually you'll see the acronyms RFP, that is a request for proposal. So a lot of times organizations and foundations, when they have a funding opportunity available, they will put out a request for proposals, meaning that they want people to apply to this grant opportunity. I'm going to, I pulled in some training resources that I get from the Philanthropy Lab Grant Writing Board program that I'm a part of. So I'm going to share some insider knowledge with you all about grant writing. And then after these set of slides, I also want to share with you some resources that will help you in your grant writing, because by all means, grant writing is a very intimidating process. And I don't want to give you the impression that that's something you can just snap into doing. It is a process, and it does take, I will tell you, you'll go for 15 grants and maybe you'll get one of them, right? This is something that you have to be ready for. And this is why I also encourage organizations to think about whether you want to be totally nonprofit, because in that way you will rely heavily on these grants and donations. So perhaps that may not be the form of dependency you want for your organization. But nevertheless, Grant Writing Board training session resources. We can go to yes. So process, planning. What do you need money for? Funders often prefer project-based grants, right? Because they can track the results. Research, who will you approach? The most common reason most common reasons not funded, not the right fit for the funder. So this is important when you're researching grants. I know it's like we get caught up in the money and we say, hey, I can answer these questions, but the funders are usually looking for specific people and organizations to fund, and they'll let you know in their grant guidelines. So it's important to read those guidelines very thoroughly, see if you fit. And if you are not sure about your project or your organization, they will always have a way for you to send inquiries in, because they don't want to read more applications than they have to. So they will be more than happy to let you know, hey, this is not a good fit, or here's how we would fund something like this, or here's a place you can see past grantees. All of these things that'll help you to see if you are a good fit. So just think about that. Lastly, writing. Common proposal elements: the executive summary, narrative, which is the largest, the statement of need, the project description, organizational information, your conclusion, your budget, and whatever supporting materials you may need. So, yep.
Oh, I was going to take over, give you a breath.
Thank you.
Common components of a grant application are a cover letter, mission statement, your executive summary, needs statement, and your goals and objectives. So needs statement, characteristics of a needs statement, direct and compelling answers. What is the problem your project will solve? What are the current gaps in your funding for you to solve your problem? What data can you include that provides objective justification for the problem and the potential solution your project provides? How can you connect to the reader? How can you craft your proposal so that the reader takes on your plate? Here's an example. Community. Community is a food desert where residents have few to no convenient options for securing affordable and healthy foods, especially fresh fruits and vegetables. Researchers estimate that 19 million people, or 6.2% of the nation's total population, live in areas without access to affordable fresh food. Food deserts create extra everyday hurdles that can make it harder for kids, families, and our community to grow healthy and strong. At organization, we aim to grow and distribute fresh produce for our residents. Using a plot of land we have secured with fertile soil, we plan to grow a variety of nutrient-rich foods and distribute them to the families at our site twice per week. For goals and objectives, funders love quantifiable evidence and ROI, which is return of interest. So focus on what you want to achieve, which are the measurable goals, and how you want to achieve them, which are your objectives. So at least have 3 to 5 goals, because that's a good target. And here's a good example. The overarching goal of whatever project you're working on is to use a broad and ambitious idea. We plan to use the following objectives to implement this goal: objective 1, 2, and 3. So as long as you have that outline when you're working on your grant writing, this is a good way to look at it.
And when you are thank you, Crystal. When you are drafting your project description, some things that you should include in it is your target audience, how you will reach them, right? What you will do to serve them, what makes your organization uniquely positioned. So in this way, you should talk about past projects and how those past projects, the successful completion of those projects, set you up to be able to succeed in this project, right? That is what funders are looking for. They want to see how you are uniquely situated. I would always encourage everyone, figure out how you are unique. You will, if you fit in, you will be left behind. You have to figure out how you are unique from another organization, how your project, your strategies, your approach, how is that unique, different, and tailored specifically for your audience, right? How you plan to implement your project, right? What are those steps that you will take to ensure that it will be successful? And what will the impact be if you are successful, right? So if we are successful, we will have fed 500 families with our food pantry program, right? So you should be able to, even if, and this is something that they spoke to us yesterday on the line with, this amount of money would allow us to do this. Give them a sense of what will be accomplished, what will the impact be if you were awarded this money and you successfully completed the program or project. Common mistakes. Assuming funders know more than they actually do. So I'm very fortunate that this is not one of the mistakes I've made. I make a lot of them, but this is not one. What I usually do in this regard is I've taken, and this may be something to other artists or people who are leading industries that funders may not be as informed in. When you write your statement of needs, it is important to take the opportunity to educate your funders on things they may not know about the issue. So funders deal with massive, if you understood how many proposals they had to look through, how many different issues, how many different programs and projects they have to look through, they may not be as informed about a particular issue you may be raising in your grant. Take that opportunity and educate them. Assume that they don't know and speak to them as if you are educating them, not in any condescending way, but take the opportunity to educate your funders. This does two things. One, it demonstrates your knowledge, but even if your application is not accepted, it educates the funder more on the problem. This is important because the culture of what will be funded is always dictated by who they fund, because the people they fund actually educate them on the issues and topics that they need to be funding. When they do these events, when they do all these workshops, they are asking these questions. What should we know? When they ask you, hey, tell us the need, they're pretty much letting you know, tell us what the issue is, how is it unique to your area, and how is what you're proposing to us going to solve it, right? So keep that in mind. Assuming funders know more than they actually do is a common mistake. Another mistake, don't take your knowledge for granted. Don't assume anything to be too obvious. That goes hand in hand there. Be clear. Don't, like it says, don't take your knowledge for granted. You are very wise. If you've made it to this point to be able to say, hey, I think I can get this grant, then you probably could. Don't doubt yourself. Go hard and demonstrate your knowledge. It's you not getting the grant is not evidence of your lack of knowledge. It is just a competitive process. It's extremely competitive, right? Try to discuss with someone who is not involved in your nonprofit's effort and see what questions they have or what they have a difficulty understanding so that you can better address it in your proposal. I know a lot of times when we do this work, we get real personal with the work. So we don't like to let other people read it and critique it. But that is one of the biggest mistakes. You have to let people, especially that person who was always the naysayer, maybe they need to be the person that you let review some things so that they can say, hey, this is not clear. What do you mean by this? Da, 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 da. Over the years, I used to get really mad because I wasn't getting I wasn't getting to that next step or that next level in the grants. And it was simply because I wasn't clear. I wasn't being very clear. Like we were doing great work. We were having an impact, but I wasn't clearly articulating the work enough so that they understood the impact and why, if they didn't fund it, they were just like doing a horrible thing. So now I've gotten to a point where it's like, hey, if you don't fund this, here's what's at stake. So you have to change the language and, just make sure that you are willing to receive that criticism because it is constructive and it will build your proposal and the clarity therein. The 3 C's, we can go to the next slide. The 3 C's of grant writing: clear, clarity, right? What do you plan to do with the grant if you receive it? How does this connect to the funder's values and objectives? Very important. Please research your funder. Don't write an application if you don't know what the funder likes or what they want, because you will be missing them completely. And when they read it, they'll say, oh, they really didn't read our mission statement. They can see that right off the bat. How will you accomplish what you are setting out to accomplish? How much money do you need and what will it pay for? There's we see a grant sometimes and we say the grant's like, or rather a foundation may say, hey, we fund up to 20,000. So naturally we ask for the 20,000, but asking for the 20,000 in essence really lets them know that we haven't reached out to anyone else for funding for this project. And we're asking them to fund the whole thing. And a lot of times foundations don't want to be the only person funding something unless they're launching a new product or new thing for you, right? So they would rather you be more clear about how much of their 20,000 you need for a specific thing. So just being clear on how much money you need and what it will pay for. Now, if you need the full 20 because the budget of your project is 70, that's very different, but if the budget is 17, don't ask for 17. You know what I mean? Because they know that they must be the only people you're asking to fund this project, right? What will the end results look like? How will the community benefit from these results? These are important things. Did you answer the specific questions that were asked? Oh my gosh. So many applications, people do not answer the questions. And a lot of times folks don't answer the questions because they don't understand how to answer it in the context of what they are trying to propose. And we'll get to that in a few slides with the resources that will help you. But did you answer the specific questions that were asked? Less is more. Don't overdo it. Just answer what they're asking you. Concise. Do not repeat yourself. Quality over quantity. Avoid using language that is wordy or vague. So you don't have to try to be smart. Just be clear. You know, you don't have to overdo it. Just tell them what you want. We want money to put food in the mouths of hungry kids. That's enough. You don't have to be like, you know, we are looking to fulfill the hunger. You don't have to get all philosophical about it. But there is a place for your philosophy. That's in your needs statement. So know where to put it and where not to, right? Don't overdo it. Nobody wants to read that. People have to read this. People are reading this, right? Use because instead of owning to the fact that. So in this light, as I remember this being explained to us, more of a cause and effect, rather. This happens because of this. If this takes place, this is what will take place. So this will be successful because of this, versus owning to the fact that, you know, you can't state facts as much as you can, you know, imply that this will be because, if that makes sense. The third C, compelling. Is your information accurate and factual? This is why it's good to have some stats in there, right? Did you provide credible data to support your proposal? Data always will put you in there, because if the U.S. Department of Health says XYZ, can't nobody argue that, because that's a fact. That's out there. That's, well, at least it's a fact to the extent that the data has shown that, right? So you don't have to, and you don't have to say it's a fact that. You can say the data suggests based on information provided by, right? So just how you articulate that. Did you consult key people and include their views? That was something we spoke about a little earlier. Did you present a strong case with clear links between the project, your business, and the grant objective? So people should know how the project is in line with your business model and how the objectives flows right in line with what the grant is asking for. So this should be seamless, right? And this is why I said this is not an easy thing to go into. So it does take some practice. It does take some consulting. So don't take on the grant writing process alone. I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that.
Hey, can I add something to that?
Please.
Not only don't take it on alone, but don't start it the day it's due or the day before. You have a month. Usually grants give you a month or so. Take a little bit at a time. Don't put it in the grant application. Put it separate from the grant application so you can edit and model and send it for review by your peers. So just some things that I've learned along the line too.
Yes, thank you. And with that, create a workspace for your grant so that you have I use Google Drive. I love Google Drive. Make a folder for that grant. Then put your guidelines in that folder so you can always reference them as you go deeper into your proposal, right? Because sometimes we write and we like, oh, this is fire. But then when you look at what they asked you, it doesn't actually connect. So you have to then go back in and make sure you're connecting to what they ask. So you want to have your guidelines readily available, but you also may have supplemental information that you have to give, a budget, past project descriptions, work examples, whatever that is. Keep all of that in one place so that when you are ready to submit, like Susan is saying, you don't have to go all over the place. You're not scrambling at the last minute. You have everything together. You can download together and you can upload and submit together. So some writing tips. Reread your work and delete any unnecessary words, right? Use active voice rather than passive voice. For an example, passive voice. The community has been benefited by our program. Active voice. Our programs create unmatched opportunities for people in our community. Very different. Very different. Speak proudly and confidently about your work. Give the funder the impression that if they don't fund this, they are doing a horrible thing. That is okay to do, you know? Use proper nouns over pronouns. Be as specific as possible. So vague. Our program benefits them as evidenced by consistent positive outcomes. Specific. The Fortress After School FAS program benefits underprivileged children in Fort Worth as evidenced by our FAS kids reading level consistency testing far above the average in their district. And they go on to give you the information. So they're not being vague, they're being very specific. So you know what they're talking about and why they're talking about it and what evidence they have to back up what they're saying. So just keeping those things in mind. We can go to the next topic because the next page. I think here's where we can breathe a sigh of relief. And that in 2023, you don't have to be tasked with doing all of the writing yourself. And I know that in this industry, or at least in the sectors of our social justice networks, and even in writing and in a lot of different areas, there's a lot of pushback against artificial intelligence, especially with respects to helping you write. I would not encourage you to, write books from softwares that we're going to explain. But it depends. I would encourage you to write your school papers and stuff like that. Use it to help you brainstorm with your school papers. For an example, ChatGPT is very, very helpful with respects to helping you brainstorm. So if you were to give the software a prompt and say, hey, my organization creates greeting cards. The foundation is asking, how will our product serve the formerly incarcerated community? What are some ways that I can answer this? You may not know that connection. If you ask the software, it will break down a bunch of different ways for you to then tackle that question. So in these ways, I definitely want to encourage people to look into using softwares like ChatGPT. There are a lot of different books on how to use the software differently. I also want to remind you that companies use this software. So don't think that because you use it, you're cheating or anything like that. There are companies, organizations who use this and have to use it because there's a heavy demand on the writing for their organization, and you don't have enough capacity to get all of these things done. So sometimes you have to rely on artificial intelligence and different online tools to help you get to where you want to go. It's no different from using Google to help you find where to locate something, right? It's a brainstorming tool. And I want to encourage people to use it. I don't want people to stray away from it. So please look into these different books that will help you to get a better understanding of this software in particular. And then another software similar to it that I was educated to the other day by one of my young people is Google Bard, which offers the same service as ChatGPT. And I think it's a bit more, I don't want to say, I haven't used it enough to compare it to, but I do know that it does give you options, like several options right off the bat. So if you asked it, hey, could you draft me a compelling cover letter for my proposal, after you've maybe put the proposal in so it can see all of the things that you have written about, it will give you a few options of that cover letter. I will also step back and say that this software does not work unless you feed it prompts. So you do have to do work. So don't think that you can just go in there and get it to do everything for you. You have to feed it the information it needs. It needs to know your organization, the project, the description of it. It doesn't have to be the best articulated, but you should have at least bullet pointed what you do, what you're trying to do, how you think it will help. Just brainstorm with it. It will help you to make sense of your thoughts and how to approach your writing. Please use the software. If you are doing work and you have to run your business, you don't have the time to really do the fundraising as well. Don't let people make you feel guilty about getting artificial support. Please don't. Use the software. Let it help you. It could also help you with more than just your grant writing. It'll help you develop a better business description. Maybe you don't know. Maybe they ask you a question like, hey, what are the goals and objectives of your company? And you've never thought about that. This is an opportunity for you to draft those things out. Like, hey, I have a company, we do such and such and such. What should my goals and objectives be? And then it'll give you a bunch of examples and see if that aligns with what you are already thinking that you were setting out to do. Because most of the time it does. We just don't have the language ourselves to match it. So in these ways, lean on the resources that are out there for you to be able to maximize. This is what we mean, build your capacity. So now you can run your business and apply for grants because you have support, right? This is how you build your capacity. So that this is this is the heart of what I really wanted to share with people with respects to sustainability and capacity building. And with that, I'll stop, let my colleagues weigh in on any of this, and then we can go to the next slide.
Thank you. That was, I mean, AI is everywhere, right? It's in everything we do. It's in our phones, it's in our texts, it's in our emails. So these tools help to also reduce redundant tasks. For example, if you're constantly going back and forth with someone to schedule a meeting, that is a time waster there. Set up the artificial intelligence tools, the tools that will do this for you, things that can create automatic appointments for you, things that can create word efficiencies for you. That's what AI is great for. If you tend to be long-winded and tend to explain and over-explain and overshare, the great thing about these type of AI functions is that it helps with that word efficiency. It helps to keep you clear. It helps to keep you concise. It also gives you the ability to have a variety of different things available at your fingertips. So if you feed something like your whole entire thing, your whole entire catalog of what your business does, a tool like this will take those different things and categorize them for you, separate them out, because you may not need everything when you're submitting for a grant or you're submitting for a proposal. There are different functions and different perspectives and different focuses that can be generated from these type of tools. So use them. Don't be afraid of them. Another great tool that you can utilize is when you're utilizing you tend to have a lot of projects at once. Define what a project management platform looks like for you, okay? So AI can help you with that. AI can help you distinguish different project management platforms. AI can help you differentiate the different projects and the focuses of those different projects, because sometimes we can run in 10,000 directions and not get anything done. So let's utilize the tools that are available to us as entrepreneurs, that are available at our fingertips, and can help grow, develop, and sustain our businesses.
And I entirely agree with using AI as kind of just using it as a tool, and let AI be another tool in your tool belt or your toolbox. I am an artist that uses artificial intelligence, but there's been a lot of controversy, like Isaac said, where some people don't, they don't approve of the use of artificial intelligence, and that's completely fine. But the way that I use artificial intelligence is that I'll take my own artwork and then I'll have the AI generate artwork based on the artwork that I've already created. So that's still my own type of intellectual property, and I don't have to worry that somebody else will see my artwork as if I'm taking it from someone else, because I know that it was generated from my own mind and I'm using the tool now to just add and enhance what I'm already creating. So when Isaac recently introduced me to ChatGPT, I'd heard so much about it over the past couple months, but I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to avoid using it until I actually have to. So I found it to be very helpful that when you are using it, like if you're a person that's creating social media posts, if you just need it as a brainstorming platform, it's definitely something that can help you out in that way.
So just one thing I want to add to that is that all of these different platforms, ChatGPT is a public platform, okay? So if you don't want to put confidential and proprietary information in that, because you don't know where it's going to end up. If you want to maintain your confidentiality, you want to maintain your originality, be very conscious of what you're putting into public platforms, because by its true nature, it's not secure and it's not protected for you because it's public. So keep that in mind as well. Take everything with the conscious effort that you want to protect the materials that you're using and the materials you're creating.
So the next portion that we're going to jump into is building capital. So we will talk about creating revenue streams. So we have an option to look at affinity programs. We have online fundraising. We have merchandise, newsletter advertisements, If you are working on a publication where you publish a newspaper that showcases information that is a highlight to you, you can talk to different clients, or you can talk to different people who look at your newsletter and give them the option to run advertisements in your newsletter or in whatever platform you may have. So if you have a website or a blog, and you might have space where you can post up a couple images, you can actually create a revenue off of those additional spaces, because when people use your website or they use your newsletter as a form of advertising, they'll not only be reaching new audience members for themselves, but they'll be reaching your audience members too. And then just like today, even though, with this being the fourth and final part of this set of workshops, you can create paid training and workshops for people to engage what your company is working on. So if you're in the arts field, if you're a poet, if you're a writer, and you're very good at those skills, or even if you are in the educational field, use the skills that you already have, and you can turn those into training and workshops. You just have to thoroughly think it out. And, since we were talking about ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT to come up with a good description for the topic that you want to do your training on, and then you can kind of take it from there. So if you're a poet, you can use your skills of poetry to teach others how to write poetry. Give them a workshop, give them some prompts. If you're an artist, you can, I know you've seen lately that there are a lot of paint and sips that happen around the city and around the country. So you can use that same outline and structure to create a workshop of your own, where now you have the opportunity to be the teacher and showcase your art style, but teach others how to work similarly in that fashion. And you can create a training or a workshop out of that too, and just utilize the skills that you have. And then there are also an opportunity, if you have a brick and mortar, you can use a space within your brick and mortar to dedicate that to becoming a career center. So this is if you are somebody that works, just in helping others become entrepreneurs, like what we're doing today. Or even if you just want to help people find their passion, find the career that works for them. And we have our amazing list of resources. So this set of resources pretty much sums up the entirety of all four of our workshops. So we have the 4 types of entrepreneurship, which one is right for you. We have what is entrepreneurship, 4 ways you can supercharge your career. And then we have resources for entrepreneurs, such as the Freelancers Union, which is very helpful, because if you're a freelancer and you want to know more about the criteria of being a freelancer, even down to them giving you details about what counts as yours. So one of the things that Rescue mentioned during the workshop is your intellectual property, knowing that the things that you create, the things that come from your mind, that remains yours if you're an independent contractor, if you're a single member LLC or a sole proprietor, that is your intellectual property. So the Freelancers Union will definitely, help you just kind of clarify exactly where you stand in the union as a freelancer. And then we also have the SBA.gov for the New Jersey district, and then we have the SBA.gov for the Metro New York district. So this most likely is going to help you when it comes to looking for grants, applying for your annual report. And the SBA, just so you know what that is, if you are a person that's just recently building out your business, or you've been in business for a couple years, when we were talking about the annual report, the Small Business Association will help you just gather some details and get some information to help you run your business more efficiently and under the guidelines of the state. And then for resources continued, we have resources for entrepreneurs looking to open a business. So you can use websites like InkFile, LegalZoom. You can also use the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to trademark any logos you have, any imagery that is specifically based on the brand of your business. Inkfile is a website where you can go and create your sole source, your sole proprietorship. You can also create an LLC, C corporation, all the corporations that we mentioned in the last few workshops and also in the recap. And you can pretty much do the same with LegalZoom. With the exception of LegalZoom, you also have you can hire a legal attorney that can help you with any legal paperwork. Just as Isaac was saying before, this is a way for you to work with a company that knows exactly what they're doing, and you can hire them to help you create your business so you can lead the way and becoming the entrepreneur that you want to be. And then for marketing resources, the end all be all for me is Facebook, the big Facebook marketing tool, which is Meta Business Suite. If you don't use Meta Business Suite and you are a business owner and you want to try and utilize everything that Facebook is coming out with, this will help you when you're trying to post posts on your Facebook account, when you're posting things on your Instagram account, because since Facebook is now, Meta is now the owner of Facebook and Instagram, you can post simultaneously using this platform. And the best part is, if you have a Facebook business page, it's completely and entirely free to you, for you to use. And then we have some paid options, which are Buffer, MailChimp. Sendinblue is a free option where you can create a newsletter and you can send it up to about 300 people per day. So it lets you utilize a very beautiful drag and drop option for your newsletter. And then we have Linktree, which me and Rescue, we just love using because we can continuously add new links to it. So it's really cool. And Linktree is cool because they give you a number of free links that you can add to your page. And if you don't have the option to use a website, you can build out a Linktree. If you don't have the option to build out a website, you can use Sendinblue, because if your business revolves around being able to just kind of you have events that are happening, but you don't have a place to showcase them, you can use these two options as a way to showcase what you have going on. And then, oh man, all right, we have project management for entrepreneurs. My favorite of all time, thank you to Rescue, is Podio. Podio is the most amazing workflow, task builder, timesheet collector. You can, one of the things that I learned through using Podio is how to create a service agreement. So in that matter of using AI to kind of like help you just automate things and make them a lot quicker, you can use Podio, and they have thousands of different apps that people literally create every day. So it makes your workflow and your life as an entrepreneur so much easier. So one of the things that I created was for my clients is a service agreement report. So basically what they do, they just plug in all the information for me, and then I get a ping on my phone to let me know that a new client has just confirmed that they want to work on this project with me. But then I also have an intake form where people can fill out and let me know exactly the needs that they'll need for their project. They can upload the graphics for their project, their logos, any kind of flyers, and it automatically generates into a specific page just for this client. So it's a good way of keeping track of things. Airtable also works the same as this. It's just like a really good resource. So one of the companies that me and Rescue have worked with in the past, InfoColor, they use Airtable a lot, and they get different artists from all over the world where they're able to easily classify that this is an artist, that this is a female artist, that this is a male artist, or this is a person that is a singer. So they're able to classify based on the categories that each one of their artists fall under, which makes it easier for them when they're marketing to their newsletter. Now they have a set of audience members that are they fall within a certain criteria. So if they have an event that's dedicated to artists, now they can reach out to all their artists, and it's all in one spot. And then we have Trello. Trello is for those who they like to just have an opportunity to workflow different things. So if you're in a company that you have 2 or 3 people that are working with you, you have your graphic designer, you have your writer, you have your marketer. So you can use Trello to designate different tasks to each one of these people so they know exactly where they are. So if it's the case that, you're working on a project that's due on December 25th, you can track and you can put in deadlines. And the same thing goes for Podio and for Airtable. You just have to do a little digging. They also have a bunch of different apps in Podio where it can just help you keep track of the projects that you're working on. So these are going to be very useful resources for you. So if you have a chance now and you haven't used any of these before, take a quick screenshot, take a photo of this screen here, because these are going to be your best friends when it comes to marketing. And then if you are a graphic designer like me, here's some printing and some creation programs and platforms for logo design and just graphic design that you can use. This entire presentation was made using Canva. Canva is very user-friendly. One of the best things about Canva is if you are a PowerPoint creator, you can convert your Canva projects into a PowerPoint and vice versa. You can actually upload the PowerPoint to your Canva and just kind of take it from there, which really makes it just a beautiful platform to work on. And for printing, we have Vistaprint. Usually, if you're a new member to Vistaprint, I think they give you about 250 free business cards. So if you're just starting out and you don't know how to get a business card, they'll walk you through the entire process. Or if you decide you want to come up with a design on your own, if you're a little graphic savvy and you know how to use Photoshop or InDesign or anything else along those lines, you can create a draft of your business card or your flyer, send it to Vistaprint, and then they'll print out 250 business cards for you for free as a part of being a first-time user. And then you can also go to Staples. Staples is a great option. They let you upload exactly what the front and the back of your business card is going to look like. And you could print it and just go pick it up straight from them, or they can deliver it to the location that you need them to. And this goes the same for any kind of like flyers or postcards that you might need printed. And the last resource that we have is GotPrint. GotPrint is a place that we go to normally if we're doing banners or if we're doing any kind of a thicker banner that'll need to go on the outside that needs to be weatherproofed and have grommets in it, so it can actually be zip tied to different like fences outside. So these are just some really good options when it comes to working on your graphic design and getting the printed version of it. And then we have some business management courses. So during the pandemic, Harvard started doing free university courses that people could take. So they have an entire free catalog. They also have new ideas for nonprofit leaders webinar. So Harvard will let you take these courses for free. At your own time and at your own capacity, whatever works for you. And then the New York Public Library also has free online courses that you can take as well. Actually, I think the New York Public Library, the courses might be in person and online, so you have a hybrid there. And then there are some courses that you can take with Grow with Google. And then we have Coursera. If you haven't heard of Grow with Google or Coursera, these are two options that you can pretty much just go to, see what courses that they have. I know Coursera for sure has courses on social media marketing, public relations. They have courses on grant writing. So, and I know right about now with Black Friday coming up, they might even have different coupons that you can use just to get a little discount, so you can learn a little bit more about the thing that will help benefit your business as it begins to grow. And our resources continued. We have how to file your state-specific annual report. So if you are from the state of New Jersey, your annual report must be filed every year, and you can actually just go on the njportal.com and just look up an annual report for the state of New Jersey on Google, and it'll lead you straight to the website. The annual report, you pay about $25, and then you send that in every year. And then just how Isaac was talking about earlier when we mentioned the annual reports, we have the New York City biannual report. So you will submit this biannually, and you can go straight onto the website, pay about $9, and you can do this for any type of business or corporation that you might have. And then we have our video resources on how to make a Facebook business page. This was featured in the marketing and public relations section of our previous workshop. And then we also have a video on how to make an Instagram account in case you don't have one yet. We have a video on how to create an X, formerly known as Twitter account, how to create a LinkedIn account, and how to make a YouTube channel. So we didn't mention YouTube before in terms of the sizes for flyers, because most of the time everything that you post on YouTube is a video. So if you are creating a business that is very informative, you'll definitely want to use YouTube in your tool belt, because that'll give you an opportunity to just, showcase what you have to offer. And, if you feel that you might want to offer free resources or free workshops, this is definitely one of the ways that you can utilize Facebook and YouTube to the best of their ability. And for writing resources, we have ChatGPT, which Isaac mentioned, and Google Bard. And that's it for us.
So I just want to say thank you first to my colleagues, my facilitators. Thank you very much, both of you, for journeying with me through this this grant cycle. You guys have been a part of some of the first workshops we've done earlier this year, and then this is actually the last workshop of this year from this grant. So thank you very much for being a part of this, being a part of the Arts Justice Safety Coalition. And I also want to just thank everyone who has taken part in these workshops, whether you've registered, you've attended, every part of that, because we have your information now. We can share these resources with you. And we definitely want you to continue to engage us in this work. We're here to help, here to serve. Our companies, our businesses are here for you as well. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm very grateful, and I'm very, very much looking forward to 2024 resources. And with that, the first resource we'll be dropping in 2024 is the slides for all of these put together in a much more comprehensive way. So the slides from the first workshop through the fourth one, we'll be putting that together and making sure that it's a small booklet for folks to be able to really use to get started with their business, their companies, and their initiatives. So I don't know if you guys have any final words.
Just wanted to say thank you for having me along this ride. It's been a lot for me to just learn, but then also to kind of help and give back to those who might not know what they're doing as a new starting or a new blooming business. So I'm really grateful that I had this chance. And I'm grateful that I had to work with both of you, in two different workshops. So it was really awesome. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. What an amazing experience. I have to say that this information isn't taught to artists, right? This information isn't provided. It's not taught in schools. You're taught how to make art, now how to sustain yourself with your art. And that's very important because in order to live the life that we're looking at as artists, as entrepreneurs, we have to know what we're doing. And minimize the number of mistakes that can impact us personally and our business. So this series of workshops, this whole entire year workshops, has just been absolutely amazing. Thank you for that. And it's exciting to know that the relationships we're developing now, or started developing, have then culminated and become this for the time being. And look forward to continue growing and developing and learning more. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will, I guess, let the outro slides loop a little bit. And that concludes the fourth workshop. It will be available on the website later today. Once the recording is ready, I will put it right on YouTube so that it is accessible to people. But yeah, thank you. I'm grateful and looking forward.